Okay, so this is Edu Reading Article 16, which is entitled Campfires in Cyberspace, Primordial, Metaphors for Learning in the 21st Century. So I guess we're all leading learning in the 21st century in one way or another at the moment. And I was kind of thinking about whether we, as a result, find a very recent article or piece about, remote learning or distance learning or continuous learning or whatever people have decided to call it recently. And I guess all of the things that I read most recently were quite lacking in content, just because they were so rushed, in much the same way that our learning delivery probably is a little bit rushed and ad hoc in the current environment. So this piece instead is quite ancient, but it still seems very topical and relevant to the work that we're doing now, especially. And it focuses, of course, on three metaphors, which are, bear with me, campfires, watering holes, and caves. So obviously read the article. It's probably it's probably the easiest read we've had, not the shortest and not the longest, for sure. But it is the easiest in the sense that it's very metaphorical and it lacks complicated figures and too many references. Some really juicy quotes in there. A really exciting piece, I think. So your prompts are obviously in your current situation. So that can be teaching, learning, or just general life. How do you find, what space do you have for a campfire, in the sense of a place for direct instruction, for sort of the sage on the stage, for a shaman, I think he even calls it at one point. Then secondly, obviously, how do you set up spaces for watering holes or conversations? So again, this could be in your role as a leader, as a teacher, or just as a person. How do you find space for conversation in the current state that we're in? And then the third is just the cave. So the metaphor of the cave is not Plato's metaphor of the cave, but simply a place where you can go, reflect, have time to think, and a time for sort of free thinking, I guess, and for insights, of course, as well. I guess at the moment, this is something probably that most happens off a screen. So that in and of itself is something worth mentioning, I guess. But that's the piece. That's what we're doing this month. And I'm trying to leave it as open and metaphorical as possible so that you have scope to share your experiences where you are and how you navigate the complex times that we're in.